What's up, guys? Nightflux here, coming to you with my super budget Angel Feather deck profile. This is a great deck. I'd recommend this for people who are just getting into Vanguard, just getting started, or looking for like a cheap competitive deck. This isn't really like super competitive, but it's good for like if you want to teach your friend like the mechanics of the game or something. It's really cheap to build. You could build this deck for easily $30 or less. Probably a lot less actually. But let's get into the deck profile. I did use this in a recent duel video. I'll have a link to that duel in the description below. But basically we have our starter here, which is a Hope Child Turiel. 5k basic regular Vanguard skill. When you ride on top of her, she gets called to the rear guard, and her skill is basically it's like a swap effect. You counterblast one, put this unit in assault, put a unit from your hand into the damage zone, take a unit from your damage zone into your hand. So it's a basic swap effect. We'll get into why that's good later, but this is basically our starter, Hope Child Turiel, right there. Our trigger lineup, we are running 8 criticals, 4 of the critical hit angels, and 4 of the rocket dash unicorns. We want to maximize our damage in this deck, basically. It being a budget deck, we just want to get us off as much damage as possible. 4 draws. Draw power is always good. Get those extra cards in your hand. And we do run 4 heals. What's good about this heal trigger is if you get it to hand, it's actually recyclable. You put it behind anything you're boosting, it automatically gets an extra 3k, so it's a 6k booster, and at the end of the battle you can shuffle it back in your decks. So you really want to, you can maximize your heals with that as well, instead of just using it as a guard. The grade 1 lineups. This is a very good grade 1 to ride on top of, being that this is a budget deck. This is a 1000 Ray Pegasus. Basically, this card's effect is that when a unit is put into your damage zone, if you have an Angel Feather Vanguard, this unit gets plus 2k until the end of turn. So if you go first, let's say, you have 7k and your opponent attacks you with a rear guard or a vanguard, and that's a damage in your damage zone. That's 7, 8, 9. They're set put you at 9k. So then their rear guards couldn't hit, or their vanguard couldn't possibly hit unless they hit a trigger. So this is why it's a pretty good vanguard to ride. Also a good booster as well if you want to use the starter's effect to swap out a damage. You get an extra boost right there. Other grade 1s, we do run 4 Lancer shooters. Lancet shooters, excuse me. There's basically 7k boosters, counterblast 1, and you can get up an additional 8k. You're not using too many counterblasts in this deck. The only counterblast you would be using, which we'll be going into in a minute, the only counterblast you would actually use for the deck. Finishing up the grade 1 lineup, we do have AK Vanilla. This is Burst Shot Angel, or Burst Shot Bethanol. We do run 3 of those as well. And I lied, 2 more Clutch Rifle Angels. These are good towards late game. Basically it's a 6k, but once you're at 4 damage, you get an additional 4k on top of it. So it is actually a 10k booster at the end. And in this budget deck, we're basically trying to hit for big numbers and minimize the damage we take. Obviously by the maximizing the damage with the 8 crits, and then there are also 10k shields as well. And you'll see our grade 3 lineup. We are basically trying to hit for high numbers. Getting into the grade 2s, we do run 3 Core Memory Armros. Core Memory Armros is a good grade 2. Basically, its effect is when this unit attack hits, if you have a Angel Feather Vanguard, you may draw a card if you counterblast 2. Basically, that's the only time you're using the counterblast mostly. Also, we do run 4 copies of Million Ray Pegasus, the upgraded version of 1000 Ray Pegasus. Same effect. It is a 9k. Put a damage in the damage zone, you get an additional 2k, so it turns into an 11k. Oh, very good as well if you want to ride that as a Vanguard. Next, we do run 4 copies of Holy Zone Penemu. This is basically the 10k interceptor. These are pretty good to run in the deck. 10k interceptors on top of your 10k shields down here. You can get pretty good defense with this deck as well as hitting for high numbers. 4 of those. Basically, we're not running any perfect guards. This is a budget deck. We are running 1 Gatling Shot Barbio, and that finishes up the grade 2 lineup. This is just basically a 10k. 10k vanilla. You could, if you wanted to swap out for a couple of these Million Ray Pegasus, you could do that as well if you wanted to. Getting into the grade 3s, we do run 3 Drill Bullet Genials. Basically the effect is this: when this unit attacks a Vanguard, if you have a Angel Feather Vanguard, this unit gets plus 2k until the end of turn. So he's basically a 12k whenever he attacks the Vanguard. Plus the booster, if you're using Clutch Angel Rifle, that's a 10k, so you're hitting for 22, guaranteed, every swing if you're using Clutch Angel Rifle behind him. Or if you even wanted to use an AK behind him, you're hitting for 20k. So Next grade 3 lineup, we are running Pulse Wave Adriel. We are running 4 of those. Wave Adriel, similar effect. When this unit is boosted by an Angel Feather, it gets an additional, plus 2k as well. So same thing as this, but this one actually has to be boosted to get the effect. And our last card we are running in the deck is our mobile. It's our mobile hotspot Feather guy. Basically, he has an amazing Mega Blast. With this deck setup we have now, you won't be able to get it off, but if you do be able to get it off, it is pretty amazing. Let me read it to you. Basically, at the beginning of your main phase, you Soul Charge 1 every turn. You get an additional plus 2k. So we're sticking with the 12k grade 3 lineup, basically on hit. And it's a Mega Blast, which means Soul Blast 8, Counter Blast 5. When this unit's attack hits a Vanguard, you may pay the cost. If you do, choose a card in your damage zone for each of your Angel Feather rear guards and heal them. So you could potentially be healing up to 5 damage if this hits. A way to make this deck better is if you wanted to drop 3 of these, or even drop these completely. I'd say probably drop 3 of these completely and add another one of these. You can actually get multiple copies of these, and you just keep riding on top of it and soul charging, and you could eventually get the Mega Blast. And if you do hit the Mega Blast with this, your opponent basically just cries because you healed for an ungodly amount of damage, and it's not even right. But basically that is the deck profile. This is a super budget build. Like I mentioned before, you can probably build this build for less than $30, I'd say easily. You notice we don't run any triple rares, and the only double rares we do run are these Core Memory Armoroses, and these are not expensive at all. And even if you couldn't even afford these, you could also swap them out for Gatling Shot Barbiels, the 10Ks as well, and save everything for the Mega Blast and get a couple more of these. But I hope you guys enjoyed the deck profile. Remember, like, comment, subscribe, and leave your comments below. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you next time. Peace out.